On behalf of Arsenal supporters everywhere, I hope you are enjoying this nice, quiet, relaxing period of the Arsenal fixture list. This is the ArsenalVision Post-Match Podcast. My name is Elliot Smithy, Blackman on Twitter, Yankee Gunner. So, this is the relaxing period of our fixture list, the relaxing period of the calendar when we get the easy games that we can relax and nope, it's still heart attack season. Sorry, everybody. Heart attack season has not been canceled. It's been renewed for a second season. But I think this is a weird game. I think this is a game that's going to lead to potentially some terrible analysis because of the fact that it got to 2-2 and it required a late winner. Now, to be fair, emotionally, I totally understand all the reaction to it. But really, I think we have a fascinating game to discuss because I think we might have just seen Arsenal's best performance this season by a distance. And one of the best performances we've put together in a long, long time. And there's a lot of fun stuff to dig out of this because we got great fullback performances. We got a really nice Nwaneri cameo. We had a little bit of everything. We had Martinelli scoring and assisting again. So there's a lot of positives here that I think the emotion of the moment certainly might have obscured. And there's no question in my mind that had we dropped points, we would be talking about a bit of a catastrophe. I accept that, but we didn't. So we don't have to discuss that. We can get on to the stuff that makes this, I think, a pretty special game to discuss. I will let you know we did, I think, a very, very fun instant reaction. I've got to give my kudos to Clive because he sent in his halftime and full-time thoughts from the ground, and comparing the two was extraordinary and fun. But I'm going to give Clive his due. Every one of us thought we were heading towards a 10-0 at halftime, I think. And Clive had a little hesitation in his first half thoughts, just saying, don't want to be overconfident. Let's not turn this into a scary moment. And sure enough, he jinxed it. So it's Clive's fault. Okay. We got a lot of good stuff coming up this week. Obviously, there's been instant reaction for the PSG game. I will just ask one more time. We have the link in the show notes. If you do want to vote for us for Best Premier League Podcast, we'd love to have your vote so that we can win a trophy at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the Football Content Awards. Please vote for Tim for Best Women's Football Content Organization, something like that. It's associated with Arsblog. And then if you can, vote for Jacob for Best Artist, Graphic Designer. That's the one. I think Ian Wright's nominated for something too, so you can give him a vote. Anyway, enough of that. Paul's on Twitter at Pause My Pants. Hello, Pause. Clive's on Twitter at Clive PFC. Hello, Clive.
Hello.
Straight into it, you guys. Ben White gets the day off, and this is the whole idea about having a squad, right? Is instead of playing guys through injuries, you play the fittest player. We talked about this just a couple pods ago, which is it doesn't have to be which player do you like the most or which player do you favor the most. It has to be we have a squad full of good players, any of whom we'd be happy to see on the pitch, and you play the ones that are fit and ready to contribute at the top, and you give the ones who aren't the day to rest and recover. Now, we are thankfully in that position, although as we sit here and recording this, some injury worries, they might be rumors, they might be truths, are floating around about Calafiori, and we really are in a situation now where we're like out of fullbacks. So let's hope that there's nothing serious there with PSG coming to the Emirates in just 2 days' time from us recording this. I will tell you, the Can't Smile Without You derby kicks off in about an hour and a half from when we're recording this. By the time you hear this, it will have been played, so we can't talk about Spurs versus United, unfortunately. I apologize. Let's crack into it. Clive, the first 5 minutes of this game were absolutely dreadful, and I was like, what is this shit? And then basically from that point on, we dominated the game with ruthless efficiency and effectiveness from start to finish. I'll get into the data around this game in a little bit, but I want to talk about how we were playing and moving because there is something really interesting happening with this fullback design. Sometimes they were inverting, sometimes they were out wide, sometimes they'd be in on the interior, and Partey or Rice would be on the exterior. I don't know what relationalism is or relationism is, but I kind of suspect that there's an evolution from positionism to relationism in terms of how the players are moving around one another. And so maybe you could talk about during this dominant period in the first half, and we'll get to events of the game for sure, but what you saw in terms of some maybe new wrinkles we're seeing, especially with the fullbacks who I thought were brilliant.
Yeah, if you lose a player like Martin Odegaard, which basically owns our attacking identity, and everything we play, it comes into him. It's like he gets a dirty football come to him. He sticks it in the washing machine and it comes out clean and sunny and everything comes out. And we're off and we're off. And a lot of our play is related to that, how he brings people closer here and then we have new superiorities elsewhere. And we've done this for years, haven't we? We've literally done this for the moment he's come in. And we've grown so used to it. And we don't see him play. So we've now had a chance to have a look at other ways. And I always suspected it was going to be the fullbacks. Once we went to double pivot and then it's fullbacks. So it's away from 3-man pods to 2-man pods into pairs, right? And so the Spurs game was the best example of that. Pairs everywhere. And now to get more attacking play, the fullbacks in this game, were they set free or I don't think you can hold them back, Elliot. I'll be honest with you. If you watch Calafiori play, he follows his own. You know, you heard the phrase "follow your own pass." You knock a pass and you follow it, right? To get out behind it, get ready for the next one. Mate, he follows his own headers. He heads it and then follows them. Everything that comes out of him, he goes forward with it, and he goes forward. And you better cover him because when he goes forward, he's going right. So and he doesn't care what's behind him. And Timber's slightly different, but he's very punchy. And so I do like. I said something yesterday too. I think I said it online, but injury provides opportunities. It provides a new way of doing things. It's very difficult to say out loud when Odegaard's injured. We're not sure how long. This might be good for us to find new layers to our team. But we found some layers in our team since he's come out. Things that maybe we didn't know existed, particularly off the ball. And now we've seen some of the on the ball stuff, Elliot, and I've seen a few numbers. I know you're going to hit us with them. And suddenly our on the ball numbers are looking a lot better, right? So very interesting game. And I am so impressed with the different styles by which Arsenal can now play.
Yeah, it is a reminder that you can just, if you weren't already, fully ignore the narrative around Arsenal in terms of the way we'd been playing recently, you know, down to 10 men or away to our biggest rival with a mix and match group of players. I mean, Paul, this was as dominant a performance as we've produced. I mean, it is really that simple. There's no other way to think about this. This is as dominant a performance as we produced. And I will give you some of the data around this performance. I'll use FBref for the XG stuff. How about that? Just to get you started. 4.7 to 0.3. I think I saw Scott say essentially that this is the highest XG we've produced since in the Premier League since we've been collecting it or something like that. But 4.7 to 0.3. A reminder that, again, yes, there were 2 goals scored, but really we conceded next to nothing and we absolutely battered them. The shots, there were 36 of them. The stat that really astonished me in this game was touches in the penalty area. Okay. So set aside the 36 shots, the 10 big chances, the 4.7 expected goals. We had 77 touches in the opposition box. That is more than both Ipswich and Leicester had this season coming into this game. We only had 130 touches in the opposition box going into this game total. We had 77 in this game. Okay. So any way you want to look at this, by the way, in terms of the duels, we were back to winning our duels again, which is great. Any way you want to look at this, this was a completely, thoroughly, totally dominant performance that emotionally, psychologically was impacted by a couple of sort of strange moments that we can come to in a little bit. But I want to talk about the left-hand side. Can you focus a little bit on what we saw on the left-hand side? Because we know Bukayo Saka is going to be incredible. In this game, he had 8 successful dribbles and 8 chances created. That's king shit, okay? Not to mention the corners, which I'll come to in a second as well. But the left-hand side does look like it's starting to be a functional part of the attack. And there was real balance to that. I think Calafiori's confidence and comfort stepping into the half space, carrying the ball into the half space. He's very comfortable carrying the ball forward. Declan Rice was then able to sort of float outside. Martinelli was able to travel across the box. And we saw, I just think, a little bit more of that movement. It reminded me a little bit, remember the preseason game where it was Kai Jesus and Trossard? Is that on the left? And they all had this beautiful fluidity. There was a little bit of, that was the Emirates Cup game, right? It was one of the Emirates Cup. I want to say it was against was it against Leverkusen?
Leverkusen.
Yeah, that's the one. So there was a little bit of that going on the left-hand side. So can you talk a little bit about that side specifically and maybe Martinelli starting? I think he's been really good in the last few games without the final bit. Now he's got the final bit. What do you think of that side of the pitch and maybe Martinelli coming back to the fore in terms of our attack?
Yeah, well, without getting all tactical like Clive
don't do that. That'd be silly.
I can tell you how it felt, which was we had 2 sides to our game here, and like Calafiori's got this free spirit I don't know if he knows what he's going to do next. But at least Martinelli and Rice seem to know what he's going to do next, because it was probably the best Rice game with Martinelli on the left that I've seen in a long, long time. And between the three of them, they just moved and found space. Calafiori, very happy to run out to the left wing and stand over there to take the Martinelli spot, because he got so much movement between Havertz and Trossard, and they kind of take it as this big canvas that they can paint on. Havertz is free to run around the place and kind of is filling over on the Martin Odegaard side, but he's not going to stay quite in that spot as an anchor the same way Odegaard does. You got a lot of intelligence moving around the center of the pitch, and that opens up a lot of space. You could get a net zero on the left-hand side where it's like, where's the structure? But they all seem to get it. And I just thought this was the best Rice game I've seen in a long time, the best Martinelli game. There is obviously a lot of space in that other half of the pitch, and between the three of them, they kept filling it. And Calafiori's ability to pass, move, nice switches, clever passes into midfield, like as a defensive unit where you're setting up, you're falling into parking a bus. I heard Steve Cooper talking about, you come into a game with a plan, and then basically the plan punches you in the face, and very soon they know they're parking a bus. We know they're parking a bus. They don't really have a choice to it. You got Jamie Vardy, for God's sake, back in their box. Hasn't happened in like a decade as a defender. But that means you got the space you got to do something with, and we did a lot from the left-hand side. I would imagine it was fairly balanced, but plenty of switches. Not very little of that going back to the right-hand side, which we saw a lot last season. You have your Odegaard Saka kind of make its way towards the center, but they go straight back again to that side repeatedly. We trusted the left-hand side. We got a lot of change out of the left-hand side, and there's just, you got to credit at least those two players of Trossard and Havertz with their movement and their smartness to always fill spots and to key off each other. Opens up space then for Martinelli to move in, Calafiori to move out. And between the three of them, there was constant movement. I just really enjoyed the feeling the left-hand side gave us in a way that I haven't done pretty much for a long, long time. It was lovely stuff.
It really was. And I'm so glad that Martinelli scores when he does. Of course I am, because it's always nice when we score. But the reason I say that is a few minutes earlier, Saka had found Martinelli on the counter inside the box, and he fired over from a pretty good position. You'd at least like to hit the target. Maybe it ricochets, Saka taps it in, or God forbid you score. And I think that was a moment where I'm sure, I don't know what they were muttering at the ground, Clive, but certainly in online spaces, there was some muttering about, is this guy ever going to score again? And so for him to score, 4 or 5 minutes later, really, really good. And I don't know if it's the cleanest contact you'll ever find, but I mean, we've watched football enough to know sometimes you need it to go in off your ass to get you back on track. And so
not from there, Elliot. There's no way that goes in. He was at the penalty spot. There's no way you can get that in.
William Gallas could have found a way to score with his ass from there, but maybe no one else. I think Kai Havertz scored with the penis of William Gallas at the end of the game there, to quote a famous Arsblog reference from a long time ago. That was a character on his podcast once upon a time, if you don't remember. I'm not kidding. It was. Genuinely was.
I hope so for your sake.
You don't remember that? Come on.
No,
the OG Arscast listeners will remember the penis of William Gallas. That's a phrase that doesn't roll off the tongue very easily, but you get the idea. And Andrew, get in touch and please let me know that I didn't imagine that, because otherwise I'm going to need to use that BetterHelp promo code. Okay. So Clive, quickly on Martinelli. I mean, like I said, there's that moment where he misses, and then 5 minutes later he scored, which is, just what the doctor ordered. Couldn't be more happy for him. And I have to say, I think his performances the last few games are underrated. And so I'm so pleased for him that the end product has come, so he can be celebrated for not just the performance, but the end product,
Yeah. he's just a young player going through a little bit regarding finishing,
Mm-hmm.
but his work ethic, you can't ignore it, right? Spurs is a great example. I mean, last week against City, he stayed on for the defensive work ethic, and Saka came off, right? So yeah, when he missed the first one, it was like, oh, good, a bit one of those. But I will be honest with you, they were so dominant in the first half. Everything was up the other end. I couldn't really see how clear a chance it was. But when he scored the second one, the biggest compliment I can pay him is I thought it was Trossard, because it was a Trossard type clinical finish. And when it came up on the screen, there was like, oh, how good was that? And for a first goal, the way he came back to it and swept it in, that's proper stuff, mate. That really is proper stuff. Do not underestimate the quality in that chance taking. And for that to be your first goal, that's difficult. That's really difficult. What he did. It wasn't the in off the arse goal that you do need sometimes to get you going. That's like the hardest thing, to bring it, sweep it round first time and curl it away from a very good goalkeeper, by the way. Very good. And he puts it into the corner. I thought, wow. I was really taken aback by it. And then you look at his first half, and there was a halftime stock pricing. He would have been it, wouldn't he? I think goal and assist. And he was just really loose-limbed. He's a very loose-limbed athlete, very athletic, very intense. He's put a lot of energy into the last few weeks. And they got him off the pitch, I thought was quite smart, really smart. And so, yeah, I thought he was really, really good. And what it reminded me, Elliot, is how important he is to us, to have that athletic player that's it's not just his speed, it's the repeat speed that really does find people out. And I was so impressed with him, so impressed. Left side stuff, Paul, what's happening to me, mate, is that with Calafiori coming in and Declan Rice, I thought his starting position was much better until we got more dominant. Then he started to split and run and roam. But he started inside, had a look at them and said, okay, let's go now. Let's start running in the interior and running through, which I like. And then you look at their personalities of Rice and Calafiori, and they're so dominant in what they do that if you're the guy, the little sprinty guy, it's almost as though your role becomes clearer and easier to see. When you get people with not dominant personalities, it's hard for you to find your role within that construct. And one of the things I felt through this entire game was I looked at the team and I thought, you're all really good. You're all really good. And that's a really comfortable feeling to have. And we battered them, mate. Battered them. It was just, I can't remember the last time I saw that. And I was trying to hold back at halftime, but it was so, so, so good and so dominant.
Well, and this is the thing, Paul, that I think we sometimes maybe not misunderstand sounds condescending, because I misunderstand lots of things. So who am I to say when anyone misunderstands stuff? But like, there is this question of like, oh, do we want Declan Rice at 8? Do we want Kai at 8? Why don't we play? Well, Martin Odegaard's obviously not available, but where are the attacking players? And I wanted Eze this summer, right? Like, of course you want these dynamic attackers in those more forward areas. But I think there's a part of this game that we have to really appreciate, and that's our counter press. Our counter press is a unique weapon against teams like this that cannot get out. And Declan Rice is a really important part of that. His instincts, his first step defensively when counter pressing, his ability to range back, to read where the ball's going. By the way, do you remember the huge Leo chance in the second half? There's a huge Leo chance in the second half.
Yeah.
And it comes from, you know what it was? It was a carbon copy almost of the Bolton goal, that Nwaneri's second Bolton goal, right? Rice reads where they're trying to play it out, cuts it out, slides it to Trossard. I believe it was Rice that did it, right? Slides it to Trossard. Trossard really should score from there or find a way to get it to someone to score. But at the end of the day, the point is our ability to counter press and hem teams in. This was a 75% possession game, right? As I mentioned, 77 touches in the opposition box. That comes from the way we hem them in. And while I understand the desire to get Rice back to 6 and play some more attacking players, maybe it's Nwaneri coming in, whoever it is, we also should appreciate that what Kai and Rice give us in those advanced areas is an ability to be relentless, and relentlessness wears out opposition in a very unique way. So what do you think of that, the counter pressing? Because I think it's easy to see when we have all the possession in the final third and we're not picking out the exact perfect slide rule pass into the box. Oh, we need more playmakers. But the reason we've got them hemmed in like that is they can't get out. And the reason they can't get out is the counter press. Or I don't know if that's called a counter press, by the way. I think it's just a press, but you get the idea.
Yeah. The pressing in this, or the counter pressing, was awesome. Jamie Vardy does not want to be standing in the box as part of the bus.
No.
But he just couldn't watch the onslaught, the slaughter anymore. They just couldn't get out. We'd attack. Maybe somebody'd get a leg in the way. We'd always be first onto it. That the Trossard opportunity is phenomenal anticipation by Declan Rice as he swerves on to intercept it. They've decided to get awful brave playing out because, you know, Steve Cooper is sick of seeing his guys being the bus. There's nobody to kick it long to. There may have been in that moment. Maybe Jamie Vardy had managed to get down the pitch a little bit, but there's basically in a pattern where there's nobody to kick it long to. Let's try and play out, and Rice is all over them, and then does a really clever, quick pass to Trossard, who's through to the goal. I think it's actually a really good shot, and it's a fantastic save. Now, in hindsight, I'd love if he'd gone to the other side. He kind of goes near post, but he's got a lot of net to hit if he can get the ball off before the keeper makes his move. Keeper does great. The PPDA, the pressing number in this for this game, is like basically 5.8, and the lower, the more aggressive. And a pretty good number is 7, 8. A fairly standard game will be 9, 10, 11. We're at 5.8. We're pressing the BJs at him. Our defensive line, where we're doing our defensive actions, is 64 in this game. The halfway line is 50. Our defenders are best part of 20 yards north of the halfway line. All of that happens. All of that pressure happens because every time they get their foot to a ball, we're the next guy onto it. We're doing that counter press. We just swarm them. The amount of intensity we maintained across this game, it would have been a travesty if we'd gone in at halftime with one goal. It felt like it was heading that way. Obviously it did, because we got the second goal basically at the 45-minute mark. And yeah, the one knock you might have is maybe 3 goals by halftime. The level of pressure was phenomenal, and they were starting to make. There's only so much concentrating you can do. We were starting to find gaps all over the place, and from all of that pressure came. Mikel used the term, we generated 17 corners. I think it might actually have been 1 or 2 more than that by the time the game was. Like 17 corners, which we're quite good at. But that tells you the level of constant pressure we generated here. And it's a beautiful counterpoint to all the narratives. I don't know if we have any energy for the narratives, but we had a week of narratives. I took 2 days off because I was working like crazy, came back. The narratives were going strong going into this game. This was, I think, in large part, a narrative killer. It was just absolute antithesis of what they said we aren't or can't do anymore, and we totally battered a team.
Yeah, we did, and it was a beautiful thing. Clive, do you want to add on the press? Because I do want to talk about these corners a bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the game was so far away from me. I said to the guy sitting next to me in the ground, I'm going to have to write the club a strongly worded email about playing the game a little bit closer to me. I mean, it was that far away. I dreaded doing a halftime instant reaction. I'm thinking I could say anything here. Because it was ridiculous, the territorial dominance. But this is how we play. The thing is, lads, what we haven't seen recently is us play against a team which we are far superior than. So we've just had a real reminder about how we played a lot of football last year. We've had an extremely tough fixture list. It's been a little bit more to and fro. We've lost some key players with suspension and injury. We had to find a new way of playing. We've chosen a way of playing which is a little bit more counter, a little bit more off the ball. And that's managed us to accumulate points in some very difficult places. And, 7 from 9, those 3 away games we can all name. Doesn't mean that's who we are. You know, I hate when I quote stats, Elliot, because I'm not sure I'm reading the right ones. But I saw,
Well, this game, it's easy to wonder because some of these stats you've never seen before, that's for sure.
Well, I just read that we're top of the big chance table. So we created more big chances than anybody else. But given the teams that we played and given what we've had to endure, that feels crazy. This game may have slighted that, Elliot, massively, but that means, hold on, that's good. So now we're talking about other things again, aren't we? We're not talking about, I don't want to say the word dark arts. It's like a Northwest media mafia quote. But
you'll invoke a male sport writer to join the pod if you say it 3 times. They'll just appear on the pod. Sky Sports reporter will just pop into the pod.
Exactly.
Magically.
Cease and desist. Stop using our words. We're trying to slander you. You know. So so yeah. But yeah, we all know, don't we? We all know. We all know how we play when things are right. And but it's interesting we played this way without Odegaard, who's a leader of those pressing statistics, shall we say, and his whole body language. So this is what we do, mate. This is how we play, mate. This is how we play, and this is what we do. So it's just normal to me. Normal.
Yeah.
The one guy who might have, you might have thought, you mentioned Clive, we didn't have Odegaard, but you have Havertz, and he's almost as aggressive. But I was pretty impressed by Trossard kind of
that's a good point.
Stepping up to the level of press and pressure. Because you're going to get it from Martinelli. Saka's been doing this for forever. Rice, of course. Calafiori was all over it. I thought Trossard was excellent in nipping in, getting around. He was all over it. So basically, we had that 8, and the defenders will jump in. Gabriel Saliba chasing, Vardy pops into that little spot, hoping to pick off the ball, and Saliba's all over him. So they just can't get out. You got best part of 10 men in your press, not 8, not 7. You got 10 guys. They got nowhere. They just could not get a pass out.
Yeah, and like, sorry, yep, Clive.
I was going to say that's a really good point, actually, Paul, because he was the one player, if you looked at his group, about Trossard, that you might think, oh yeah, he does it, but it's not really his primary thing, and it's not what we know him for. We know him for the last thing, sticking the ball in the net. I thought it was a really good point. But what it brought to my mind as you were talking, Paul, is that everybody does the principal stuff. Everyone does. There is nobody saying, well, I don't fancy that part of the game. And they do it immediately. It's just nobody shirking anything. It's just the collective sort of team ethic. It's impossible to ignore. And this is in a dominant game compared to what we saw last week for the second half when we were not dominant, But it's the same thing. We all do this together. It's really, really, really impressive.
Yeah, and by the way, like, just since you brought up the concept of narrative, when there was this talk of, we parked the bus, you want to talk about bravery in the way you play. Gabriel was our second leading passer in this game, I believe. I'm going to double check that. Yes, he completed the second most passes behind Thomas Partey, 80 of 87, so 92%. He had 96 touches. Where do you think most of those touches were? He played 12 passes in the final third. Gabriel was playing left 8, essentially. He was playing at the edge of the box. He was exchanging passes with Martinelli and Calafiori and Kai and Leo. Those are the players he was passing to. When we get the Leo goal, the Martinelli cut back to Leo. And by the way, kudos to Calafiori for getting his ass back up off the pitch when he was down holding his toe and getting onside, so that goal winds up counting. That comes from Saliba recovering the ball behind Gabriel, who he's covering at the edge of the final third. This is real bravery. These players are standing as far away as defenders get from their own penalty box. And then Saliba's got to go chase down Vardy, who, whatever you want to say about him, is still a threat in behind, and go, run back up there. So we play with incredible bravery to be that high up the pitch. And I think that's why we're able to have 75% possession and push teams back. So yeah, maybe you don't see it with 10 men at City. Maybe you don't see it at Spurs when we're coming off 3 days rest and we're playing without Rice and Odegaard and we're just trying to reconfigure. But you certainly saw it in this game. And I just want to say, look, we're not going to, I refuse to make ref watch a big part of this game. All I will say is There was only one challenge in this game that I thought maybe deserved a sending off. It was Skip, and I'm fine with it not being one. As I understand, I didn't watch Match of the Day. As I understand, they're saying Calafiori should have been sent off. I just don't know when football in England changed such that if you're on a yellow card, your next challenge should see you sent off. I don't remember a time in England when pundits were calling for teams to be down to 10 men for basic average challenges and technical violations. Meanwhile, actual violent conduct isn't being punished. But the reality is, I'm fine with this refereeing performance. I really am. Is it flawless? Flawless doesn't exist. You know what worked with this refereeing performance? He didn't make any call that, to use Clive's word, distorted the game. The game was able to be played in a good competitive way. And it wasn't distorted by a decision that didn't need to be made. Clive, quickly, because I don't want to bog down on this. We don't need to.
I won't stay on it. I just want to clarify a couple of bits. That there was a couple of bits when the ball's kicked away and stopped. I don't care. I don't want people to be done for that. I don't care. I don't want people to be sent off for second yellows for minor infractions. There was a Skip challenge, and Didi kicked the ball away, and there was a Calafiori challenges. And to be honest, he was consistent in not clamping down on one and the other. And that's all you want. If he does skip for a second yellow and then does Calafiori, we got nothing to say. Honestly, we got nothing to say. When you do one, don't do the other, then that's when you get a problem in the same game.
That's
what's happened in recent periods.
Yeah, and frankly, like the first Calafiori yellow is extremely soft. I don't even know if it's a foul, so not giving the second one is probably equitable. So we don't need to go into that, which is a good thing. The point is, it's not a refereeing performance. It needs to be the talking point, and some people are determined to make it that, and I just don't see the point. Because we have a lot of other fun stuff we can get into. Paul, I think one of the things that we have to talk about, when you're not scoring from open play, there's an anxiety about whether you have enough in your attack to win a game, to create the chances you need. And I get that, by the way. And I think it's a fair question. I'm not dismissing that as a question. But I think it has led to our dominance on corners being framed as somehow a negative that's covering up our lack of offensive firepower. When what it should be seen as is what it is, which is a stunning blending, synergy of skill and preparation. Because the skill of the delivery from Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice, to be fair, is stunning. The skill of players like Gabriel to leap like they're playing in the NBA, as it was called out by the commentators, right in the box. The skill of players to position themselves where they're not committing a foul, but they are effectively creating free channels for runs, and the preparation of our set piece approach, tactics. It's a beautiful synergy of all the things that football is supposed to be about, but it has somehow been framed as a negative, which I understand a little bit because of a perceived lack of open play firepower. So I want to give it its due, because in this game, we did have 17 corners. And Paul, every single one of them was dangerous. I think this is sustainable. I think this is a unique weapon. And I think we've really, in large part, thanks to Bukayo Saka as well, because the delivery is a key part of it. But I think we really are going to see this continue to be a way that we change games and have an advantage over the opposition. We should celebrate it.
Yeah, like I said, Arteta said generated 17 corners. Forget taking them and how, like, the generating of them, that's all about pressure and maintaining it. The other interesting thing is, like, it used to be a thing they'd say, in swingers versus out swingers. Yeah, in swingers are better. And like you'd see City doing a lot of in swingers. City now mix it up quite a bit. Pretty much everybody mixes it up quite a bit.
Not
we
us.
Don't mix it up.
Nope.
Every single corner is an in swinger. They're all really good. They're all on the money. They all create pressure. Now, if you're the defending team, you like a bit of an out swinger, because if it skips off the top of somebody's head, then you're off to the races. You're relieving pressure. You're getting down the pitch. Your winger and your forward are streaming into areas where, bang it, like, we don't give them that option. The ball's coming into them. The best they can do is get the keeper getting his glove onto it and kind of popping it up a bit. And we got people on the edge of the box. We got hopefully not Jorginho running backwards. We've normally got somebody quite good and quite fast there, not just quite good. And it comes back to them. Our ability to maintain pressure, whether it's a goal or a great opportunity. We get a goal in this game. Trossard off the back post, filling in behind. And actually, one thing they did well on Match of the Day was they showed that actually in many of the other corners, it was Martinelli in that spot. But of course, Martinelli gets subbed off, so an automatic swap is. So there's nothing, not that you would assume it was accidental, but there's nothing accidental about Trossard being there to pick that ball up, put it straight into the mixer. It would have been Martinelli. He was in that position every other time that I looked at a corner before that. There's a method to this. It's of a piece. It's of creating pressure, maintaining pressure, and continually turning the crank. And if people want to just look at this as this strange outcrop of a game, oh look, and there's corners and they're good at them, but they're not part of the this is woven into maintaining that pressure and just creating this stress on the defense that we're going to hurt you one way or another. Like the ball goes out, they're probably like, oh, thank God, a breather. And then half a second later, they're like, holy shit, there's going to be a corner from Arsenal coming at us. Their defenses are terrified every time we get. And we could have had the classic Gabriel header 2 or 3 times off a corner. Calafiori had a great header. In other games, we might have actually had a couple of set-piece goals from the classic Gabriel/Calafiori route. We got 3-4 guys who can do what Gabriel does, but maybe nobody as well as Gabriel does it. So I don't know what to say apart from this is woven into this isn't a quirk, what would you call it?
Anomaly?
An anomaly, some loophole we found in football, right? This is how you maintain pressure. The defending team looks to put it out of play. Well, they can't put it out of play against us. They have to keep it in play, which plays to our possession. It all plays to attacking football.
Yeah, and you are correct, by the way. We are the only team in the Premier League that has played 0 in out-swinging corners. 100% of our corners have been in swinging. I want to read you a quote from Mikel on Bukayo Saka's corners. That's not extra. That's a game changer. When he's there in front of goal and he puts the ball in the back of the net, that's a game changer. That's what he needs to do consistently at this level, and the others have to do other stuff. I think we generated 17 corners today. We should have scored from others. We need every possible tool to be a threat all the time. Clive?
Troy, there were times, not too distant past, I used to query Bukayo Saka's ball striking ability, and his shooting and consistency of crossing is just remarkable now, isn't it? And they're like bullets coming across there. So obviously he's working on those parts of his game. The theory, I'm not sure if this is obvious, so apologies if it sounds obvious, but on in-swinging corners, you have a greater chance of scoring. On out-swinging corners, what you have a greater chance of first contact, but the opportunity to score is less. So if you get the quality of your in-swinging corners correctly, then your chance percentage goes higher. Obviously, they can defend it, but if you get it, then it's going much closer to the goal. Do you know what I mean? And so that's the reason why we've gone that way. So it's going to be data related, without a doubt. Sometimes when you go in swinger and they clear it, oh man, why can't we beat the first man? Do you know what I mean? That's the common one. When it lands in the right place, oh, good corner, son. Like you're literally talking about a foot and trajectory. So that's the reason why. And statistically, that is commonly known. So hope it's not the obvious to everybody.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's amazing how often you don't think, oh, I wish we'd beat the first man. They put it on the money. And like Clive may be slightly surprised at now looking back where Saka came from in terms of ball striking. I mean, Rice, I did not have down for, like, he just doesn't have the air of a guy who's the precision, put the ball where you want in a set piece. And he's absolutely phenomenal at it. I wouldn't say they never hit. They never hit the first man. They almost never hit the first man.
Just like Martin Odegaard never gets.
Don't do it.
Now they're going to hit the first man with every corner next game. This is what Paul does. Hey, Look, we got to get to the second half. We got to get to the goals we conceded because I do want to ask some questions about that and about maybe the first 5 minutes after halftime. And I do think there's a teachable moment here. Mikel's going to like having that teachable moment. I want to talk about the energy and excitement and drama of the late winner in the context of City dropping points. And I will say this is what drives me absolutely crazy. All we've been hearing about is parking the bus and dark arts and all this nonsense. No one gave us the excuse that we played without Martin Odegaard against City. No one gave us the excuse that we played without Martin Odegaard or Declan Rice against Spurs when they're talking about our style. Manchester City lose Rodri. They go to Newcastle, one of the worst defenses in the league, bottom third, and they produce 0.91 expected goals. Okay? They produce 0.91 expected goals at one of the worst defensive teams in the league, playing without some of their best players, by the way, in their first game without Rodri. So, I really think the fact that we have produced what we've produced with what we've been missing and the way we've been able to show our tactical flexibility to, you know what? Football's a results sport, right? No one wanted to give us credit for our record point total last season. What do all the kids say on social media? War a trophy. Oh, your record point total, war a trophy. Okay, fine. Then you know what? Then you got to give us credit if we use dark arts or defensive skill or corner kicks or every single club in our bag to get the results we need to get, which is what we've been doing. And I think it is hugely impressive that we've been able to do it. We got to get on to the second half, which means we have halftime. And halftime means we tell you about NordVPN. NordVPN is the VPN that I use. It's the VPN that I use because it's easy. You put an app on your iPhone, you put an app on your iPad, you put an app on your computer, you put an app on your Android, you click, and you browse in another location. And why do you want to browse another location? Because when you see those videos that are geo-locked on social media, or when you want to watch a football-related program that isn't available in your area, you can make it available in your area. When I go over to London and I want to watch the 3 o'clock kickoffs, because for some reason they don't let you watch 3 o'clock kickoffs in England, well, no problem. They let you watch them here, where I am. So I can just pretend I'm back here by browsing back to the U.S., and then I can watch the football, and we can all watch Alex Iwobi score a winner against Manchester United, which is what we did during a get-together at a pub in Islington last season. Super fun. Plus, there's threat protection. The one thing I know about football supporters is that we're going to watch some dodgy streams on links that are definitely putting things on our computer we don't want on there. Well, with NordVPN, not only are you able to browse in other areas, but you're able to keep your computer protected. And we have a fantastic exclusive offer from Nord at nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision. Get a huge discount off your Nord plan, plus 4 additional months on top. And it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision, nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision. Do it now. And this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is not online therapy. It's therapy that happens to be online. Look, I did therapy, and it was a powerful tool for me to get through a stuck moment in my life. I went to an office. I sat with a therapist. It was someone I really connected with, and it was a great experience. But times change and life changes. And right now, if I had to go drive to an office and sit with a therapist and take that time and find one that was close enough to my home, I don't know that I could make that work between 2 jobs, 2 kids, all the things that I've got going on in my life. Okay. So does that mean I give up on therapy? My mom, who's used therapy as a tool her whole life, now at an age where she can no longer drive, does that mean she gives up on therapy? The fact is, BetterHelp gives you an ability to get this into your life, a process that can be powerful for you. You can rediscover your curiosity about your life by talking to someone who is available to you when you need, where you need. You can do it camera on, you can do it camera off. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/vision today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/vision. Do it now, Clive. Is that enough of that?
Indeed.
Okay, Clive, second half. So it's weird, right? Because they get a goal from a deflected free kick. That is just variance. That's a footballing. They get another goal from a Justin Galazzo that, full credit to him, he's not going to score another goal like that in his career. We probably won't concede another goal like that all season. Again, a footballing. It's variance. It's 2-2 without having done much wrong. But I am prepared to say we did some things wrong because during that period, we also left Buonanotte wide open in the box, totally uncovered, while our players are spinning around like tops, and then he just gets the ball and he scuffs a shot. He doesn't hit it cleanly. I thought we were lackadaisical when we came out of halftime. I think we came out of halftime with a bit of job done mentality, and they ran through us a little bit easily. I think there was just not enough attention to the duels and a willingness to be aggressive in the challenges. Maybe it's because Leicester had done so little attacking. We just weren't expecting it, but you got to expect it. They're 2-0 down. They're going to have their moment. I don't like the way we came out of halftime. And I think, to be fair, because we win this game, Mikel gets the joy of the win, but he also gets to get stuck into his players, which he probably will do, about reminding them. I think he even had a quote about, this is the Premier League. These games are high level of stress, right? So he's going to have an ability to make this a teachable moment. But were you similarly frustrated with the way we came out of halftime? The goals themselves are a bit fluky, but I don't think we came out with the right intensity.
Yeah, I always worry when we play that well. I always think it's almost too good, right? So we come out second half. The ball's moving around again. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. Looking into the crowd, loads of tops, fantastic. Ball goes to Pai, tries a normal slice through the lines pass that he'd done about 1 million times in the first half. Didn't work. They break. Vardy leaves his leg in. Sleeper gives a free kick away and a booking. Suddenly we're thinking, okay, let's see what happens here. Just head it away. Havertz drops off the line. A little header, deflection, goal. Bloody hell, they've not been in our box. Do you know what I mean? And then like the second goal, I thought we were a bit slow closing the cross down, Elliot. I can say that now because the guy stuck it off the post. So when you look backwards, you wind it back in your mind. You think, could we have stopped the cross between Timber and Partey on that side? They're probably thinking, well, there's nothing to worry about here. Bang, in off the post. Suddenly you're 2-2 in a game where you're breaking all statistical records for creating big chances. It just doesn't add up, in any which way or form. And if you go back to the first half, Elliot, we weren't great in the first 3 minutes of that game as well, part of that game as well. So, hey, look, it's just a game. And I will say to you, you are right to say we were maybe almost too good. We didn't expect this to happen. And then as the second half went on, I'll keep looking at the clock thinking, surely not. Most of last week, I spent time saying to myself, how have we got here? How have we become villains? Through in the media. And I'm looking at this game thinking, oh my God, we're going to be all over the media after this game if we manage to throw this away. I kept saying, how have we got here? How have we got here for being so good to being here? And I'm reaching for blood pressure tablets. Do you know what I mean? It's like crazy. And so yeah. So to get back to your original point, yes, we were lackadaisical. We didn't sharpen up. So that is the teachable message, to almost go higher intensity for the first 5, to completely discourage them and say, you got nothing here. Go back into your box and stay there because we're coming for you. So, but we were punished, maximum punishment, Elliot, for 5 percentile change in intensity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Sometimes when we did the instant reaction, my headline was around, we didn't just have to beat the Foxes, we had to beat the football, right? This was a footballing. And Mikel kind of said that. So the first thing he says on giving up the 2-goal lead, on losing 2-goal lead in the second half, very worrying, especially in that scenario. And with the performance that we produced, in theory, you should never get to this point. But this is football, and it's the beauty of it in relation to many other sports. Then we have to earn it in a different way, and we did it with unbelievable support from our supporters. They were unbelievable. Again, I got to say, I agree. No groaning, no complaining, just full-throated support, even after we were pegged back. And he said the chances we created, how we dominated the game, and after 2-0, the result should have been much bigger. But this is the Premier League, the quality of the opponent, the quality of Leicester. They scored 2 goals, and I'm even happier with how we dealt with that situation afterwards. It is the case that in some games, like the Villa game, you're going to look at the shots and the XG and the chances after the game and say, that could have gone another way, but it went our way. This was a game that was teeing up to be poorly analyzed as some kind of glass jaw from Arsenal or some kind of bottle job from Arsenal or some stupid narrative like that. When in fact, all that happened is a deflected free kick went in and a once-in-a-season goal was scored from giving away next to nothing and absolutely battering them. But Paul, this is what I love, is that we attacked that game from that point on with an absolute ruthlessness. And we didn't do it in the way you sometimes see teams do, where they panic and they start to play a different type of football. We just turned our football up to 11. You know what I mean? We didn't start like just playing long balls and hoofing it into the box. We didn't bring in a center back and play him at striker. We just turned our football up to 11. And, you compare that, for example, Anthony Gordon gets the penalty in the 58th minute against Manchester City on Saturday morning. Saturday morning, my time. Wasn't Saturday morning in England, but you get the idea. All right. So in the 58th minute, he gets the penalty. From that time, Manchester City created very, very little. Now, again, Newcastle's not Leicester, but defensively, they haven't exactly been that resolute. What I love, Paul, is that we turned our football up and we absolutely massacred them from that moment. So what would you say about the reaction and some of the things you saw us try to do to bang down the door and ensure that we got the goals that our performance deserved?
Yeah, it's 32 minutes from when they score their second goal to when we get our third goal, and it is ceaseless, and the crowd are fantastic. It's electric watching it, and I did actually have this weird moment in the middle of it where I'm like, we're being really patient doing it. Like, it was constant, it was bombardment, but there was a patience to it in terms of looking for the best situation to go again, the next cross, the next move, the movement in these players, the connections, the triangles are going non-stop in this game. It ends up being a set piece, a corner that opens this game up again for the third goal, right? So many games we've cracked open with the corner. In a sense, there's a game within a game where they've sat in. Now they've just totally committed to parking the bus. They can't get out. This is the most extreme version of it, and the level of pressure, and it's coming from both sides. The movement, it's absolutely constant. It's electric. It's terrifying. It's having an impact on your body that's visceral, and you can feel. I don't know how these guys stay loose. I don't know how they do it. I'd love to experience that. I've never had the ability, the opportunity. How do you do it? It must be absolutely. Of course, you're in the middle of the game, and like there's so much going on, but like you must be just having the level of endorphins and all sorts. I don't know what hormones must be going on. I've never played at that level, surging through your body. It must be. They could have a thing where you pay money to be the guy who gets to go into the dressing room afterwards to celebrate and go in the showers and throw a bottle of shampoo over to Calafiore, and we would bid $500,000. I wouldn't, because I don't have it. We would bid $500,000 to be the guy who gets into the release. Must be out. I'd be smoking a cigarette with bloody Chesney in the showers. Like, the release must be absolutely incredible. The pressure in this is just unbelievable. It's relentless. It's weird that it ends up in this dotty little pass it into the mixer and it goes into the back of the net. But like, it's just, this is the most pressurized 30 minutes. We take Party off at 84 minutes, bring on Nwaneri to do something, and you can sense that you can draw a dotted line between that and when we really start to open it up. But maybe it was just one more. It was the 17th corner that did the trick, right? 16 wasn't enough. 17 was the
17 was the right number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Paul, because we don't kink shame here, I will tell you, there are places you can go in this world where you can pay and go in the shower with people. Like that's a thing that you can do.
Okay.
Okay. Look, there's so much that happened down this stretch. I think we took 15 shots after they scored. We completely banged down the door, but the moment that changes this game, and I just don't think that there's any way to avoid discussing it, is Nwaneri coming on. So Nwaneri replaces Party, and I'll tell you what Mikel said. This is what I love. Mikel wasn't even asked about Nwaneri. Wasn't asked about him. But on winning in a difficult context, he brings him up and says, Nwaneri, 17 years old. He takes the ball. The first one is an action like this. He runs past 3 players and wants to take a shot. I just love it. You want to play here? You want to be at that level? You need to play with that courage. I really, really, really value that from the team today. This Nwaneri cameo has changed my mind on some things. Because I have really thought that the right approach is patience and that you bring a player through organically step by step so that you don't overload them and increase expectations too much. But I think he's here and he's not going to be denied at this point. That cameo wasn't, I'm a young kid with energy and I'll just run around and be energetic. That was composed. It was physical. It was precise. It showed quality. It showed thoughtfulness. And I do think with Southampton next weekend, there's every bit that a possibility the game's going to look a lot like this one did. And Thomas Partey, whatever you think of him, maybe was a bit surplus to requirements in a game like this because you don't necessarily need someone to progress the ball much when you spend the whole game in the attacking third. Maybe he's just the Odegaard alternative. Clive, he was so good in this game. What do you think of him and the chance that he's making his case not to be a break glass in case of emergency player, but a regular player?
So he's a wonderful player. But let's just go back a little bit, shall we say? And this is what we do. I'm going to use the air quotes "we" here. So we don't.
You can say me. You can say
no, trust me, it's not just you. It's not just you. We watch a game and see a game develop where we totally controlled, and certain players are part of that controlling mechanism, right? So, and then the game changes, and then we're selecting a team based on the game state in the end of the game. So we see these players appear, and then we start selecting teams rather than analysing the game, right? So quite rightly, Nwaneri came on, and by the way, Elliot, I think I've been watching this player closely for a couple of years now, so there's not much that can surprise me. But when he took that ball up on the right hand side and came across the face of that defence and took that shot, my jaw hit the ground. I watched him live against Bolton, by the way, 3 days earlier. So we watched him in the summer, so we've seen him, haven't we? We've seen him. When he did that, I couldn't believe it. It's as though he went up 5%, 10% again. From what we saw. And so this is the beautiful thing about progression and development and how and when to expose a player into what scenario. Only a few days ago, when Odegaard was injured, I heard many people saying, why did we let Vieira go? Could Smith Rowe have stayed around a little bit longer? We had 6 midfielders and Nwaneri was the 6th midfielder. Here we are 2 weeks later. We're dropping other people to play him in the first 11. And that's what's so beautiful, right? That is what's so beautiful. Development can surprise you. I don't. Personally, I think the way we use him at this Premier League level right now is absolutely fantastic. By not very long, there might be a scenario where he starts a game. But I'm not worried. The fact that we've taken a 30-odd million pound signing and put him on loan at Porto and sold another academy player that's loved within the club for what he's done for the club, and we've kept this guy along. Other people have gone, like Amari Hudson, I'm watching right now. Other people have gone, and everyone's thinking, what are Arsenal doing? But they might know what they're doing. They don't. The ones they want to keep are here, and Elliot, I promise you, mate, I was aghast. Absolutely aghast what he's doing. I remember I said to you the other day, when you see him start to hit that shot from the edge of the area, that's when you know. Well, with 4 days later, he's hit the shot from the edge of the area, and if he, that was really close. That was really, really close. If he does that, if that goes in, I don't know what we'd be saying today. We were talking Ballon d'Or stuff.
It was a Saka special, wasn't it? It looked like Saka doing the same exact thing.
Honestly, if he was just reaching on that shot, just a fraction. If he wasn't reaching on it, that's going in, mate, in. And it's so encouraging that he's got that level of speed and power at 17. That's really encouraging, really encouraging. So it just comes back to, I tell you now, it's funny enough about Calafiori, the stuff we're reading, and I hope it's not too bad because things are flashing up all the time, Elliot. But I've had this real sort of thing in my mind saying, when Calafiori got injured playing for Italy, suddenly we were down. Marina got injured in training. Suddenly we were down. We got to stop selecting teams because you just don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah,
you just don't know. And suddenly, Kivior now, a player that people are not sure about, he could be extremely important for a month. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've got to stop doing this. Declan Rice, he's not at his best yet. he might pull up with a hamstring soon. Then what are we going to say? Do you see what I mean? We need to get active bodies so that we can cope with these things that are going to happen to us. That we're trying to win not just one trophy, I think more than one. So I think it's important that we stay with all of them. That makes sense. I drafted around a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't want to cut you out of the conversation on Nwaneri, but I don't want to go on too much on it, Paul. I would just say I will accept my own skepticism about him being able to be an important player for us this season because I've not seen a 17-year-old play a key role in a team trying to do what we're doing that plays at the level we play at very often, if ever. I know what Rico Lewis is doing at City, and it's certainly impressive. Rico Lewis has been brought through. There's been steps that Rico Lewis has taken. Nwaneri really hasn't. These are the first steps. So you kind of think, well, they should be baby steps. They don't look like baby steps. By the way, I should mention Villa just drew to Ipswich, and it's 2-2. And before you say, see, this can happen, they got outshot 14-7, and they got out XG'd. So, there you go. And look, I mean, Rico Lewis, as good as he is, did he play against us? He did not play against us. Right? So there's a progression. And I just knew that, by the way. That was on the top of my head, and it's definitely not because Clive typed it in the chat. So there's a progression, but there are players that are special. There are players that break the mold. Just like we always talk with the age curve, like, oh, age cliff. There are some players that are really good into their mid-30s, right? That happens. Just like there are players at 17 who are ready. Physically, he looks ready. In his playing style, he looks ready. Now, it may still be the case, Paul, that the best way to do this is to bring him through a little bit slowly so he's not exposed to too much too soon, including critique and evaluation, and he can just develop in a natural way. But if needs must, and he's this good, it also doesn't make a lot of sense to hold him back just to hold him back. So I was astonished by this cameo, candidly, because it was so good and so poised and so effective. And off of the back of the Bolton game, I was prepared to write that off a bit just due to the level of the opposition. But there's not much I can say about it in this one. In games where we're going to be the attacking protagonist, I see him as a player who can have a big impact. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's at this really interesting point, though, where I would have guessed Arteta wants to release this guy into the wild, but after he's ready for it, right? He doesn't just want it. This guy can do anything. That's not necessarily what Arteta wants, right? He wants a guy, especially for the first 50, 60, 70 minutes of a game, who's playing the game plan. And from what we've seen of Nwaneri, he can do that. But he's still kind of making sure that when he comes into the team, he does the right things. This is the other side of it, which is he brings him on 84 minutes. There's 10 minutes to go. It's like anything goes. And so, he's bringing him in. He's got this role. Why does this guy glide past three players? Well, in part, A, because he's brilliant. B, because the defense is not ready for this. They don't know what this guy is, what he does. Of course, they know a little bit about him, but they've been playing against Thomas Partey there, who I thought had a tidy game. He almost did himself out of a job. I think he did a really good job ticking along, but there comes a point where it's no longer ticking along. It's about making something happen. And he comes on. I like the assassin off the bench role for him for the next, if he were any other young player for most of this season, the way he's pushing that ceiling, yeah, I see him for starts too. I still think the best thing you can do is bring him on where there's that extra yard of space, where they're used to a slightly different setup and another player in that area. And he comes in and why does he look this good? Well, A, because he's brilliant, but B, they don't have a plan for him. And he can use all of that space they leave for him. So leave him as that assassin off the bench. Bring him on for 20 minutes. He could have come on for 30 minutes in this game, right? That's where I see his progressions for a little while. I won't be shocked if he gets a start soon, because he's kind of breaking the normal progression curve. He's phenomenal. Yeah. I totally guessed why you'd want him to start. I'm okay holding him back as long as we have other players who can do it at the moment.
I absolutely get you. A couple quick things on that. First of all, he was 6 of 6 on passes. He won a duel. He had a ball recovery, right? So he was clean in his contributions. He plays the pass to Jesus for that dreadful Jesus chance that winds up being the Kai goal. And Jesus wasn't on very long, but long enough to annoy me with the way he took that shot. I can't help it. It's who I am. I apologize. But he creates that chance. He obviously takes the shot. And the only area where I'll disagree with you, it's not really a disagreement, Paul. It's an add-on. I agree. The first thing you have to do if you want to play for Mikel is you have to stand in the right places and do the right things. Famously, Martinelli was taken off at halftime against Manchester United a couple of years ago because he just wasn't standing in the right places, right? You have to do that if you're going to play for Mikel. But I do think Mikel's quote where he says, Nwaneri's 17 years old, the first action he runs past 2, 3, he wants to take a shot. I just love it. If you want to play here, you want to be at that level, you need to play with courage. I do think he's saying it's not enough to just complete those 6 passes and stand in the right places. You have to have that extra. And Nwaneri seems to have it, you know?
To be fair, though, how much context, how much couching is Mikel going to...
I get it. No, of course. But he brought it up. No, he wasn't asked about it.
Yeah, but what did he want in that moment at that phase of the game, right? That's what he brought on a player to do something brave, something unexpected.
Yeah.
Now we've seen the other side of I agree with you. We've seen Nwaneri doing the role, doing the responsibility, but like he needed a joker card to come up for him. And he put this guy in there, and suddenly different things are happening, stressing the opponent. So, like, I think it was a particular phase, a particular role, and where Nwaneri is brilliant at. What I love most about him is the speed and control, and up the middle of the pitch with the ball, right at the opponent, right into the heart of the opponent. We really, apart from maybe now Calafiori, we really don't have a player who'll take the ball and run straight at a defense and terrify them. And that's what Nwaneri does with a killer shot, it turns out, and all sorts of clever trickery and quick decision-making and getting passes off where you don't think that jinxing around a guy. But that extra yard he has at 80 minutes in the game may be a little bit of a misread for what he can do in minute 10 of a game.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Not too many Messis out there.
Fair enough. Yeah, totally understand. Look, what I'd like to do is swing the pendulum from urging caution to expecting starts every game, goals and assists every game. I think that's the only right way to handle this, and that's how I intend to do it. Before we quickly touch on the midweek challenge that we face in PSG, winning this game was not an option. It was a requirement. I'm sorry we couldn't have another Fulham at home. We can't afford it. We cannot afford it. The Brighton at home was painful enough, and that was down to 10 men, and we had the sense of injustice. We could not afford to drop points here, period. I think we know that. Mikel talked about in his post-match presser the pressure of games in September already, and what that means. You know, I think it is just the reality on the high level of tension for a game in September. He says, we talk about that in September. Regardless what we do, we are in September. Of course, we want to win and start to build the right platform for the season and be in every competition in the places and areas we want. In order to do that, you have to continue to win. That's the demand. You see the level of other teams in the league, but we can only control what we do. You know, Clive, we talked about this. He made an interesting comment the other day about we're going to run out of oxygen if we think of every game as a must win. And yet, how do you avoid feeling that way? But we got some oxygen breathed back into our lungs with this win. And I said this on the instant reaction. The late gut punch equalizer against City denied us feeling joy at what rightfully should have been a joyous occasion. The late winner here maybe gives us joy that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten in a game that should have been a perfunctory, comfortable victory. Have we had a player in the last decade score more important goals than Leo Trossard? If we have, I can't think of one. I'm serious. Like, name him. I'm not saying scored more goals or was better. Leo Trossard just seems to score the most important goals. It's incredible. He pops up again from the corner. He doesn't get the goal. It's taken from him. It's recorded as an own goal, which I don't understand. The shot's going, it's going in. If it doesn't deflect, it's on target, but whatever. It's an own goal. Fine. But Clive, it's a huge release. It felt absolutely essential. And while I accept what Mikel's saying that we cannot live where every game is a must win every single week, this felt like it. So what was the release like in the ground? And what's your take on a not must win that really was a must win?
Yeah, well, I was quite joyous after the City game because I saw I felt I saw the wider connotations of our performance there, which I think are going to last for the season, hopefully. And because the week afterwards was all about taking that joy away from us all, right? So, and then we go into a game of football where you do see the joy come back very, very quickly. I thought the Bolton game was a bit of a cleansing game, and then this one then followed up. I think the good thing about Trossard is, well, Scott's got to do some work, mate, because for the moment he's come here, his goals and assists have been ridiculous, and they've led to big points. You know, there isn't like the 6th goal in a 6-1. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're talking life-changing moments. You know, his first goal at Villa, I'm not sure. Are we winning that game without it? You know, it's a beautiful goal against a goalkeeper that was playing out of his skin. Ended up winning the game 2-0, but it's Trossard who delivered in the critical moment. And he's done it in European games. He's done it in this game. And the smart thing about it, Elliot, if you kick it past the near post, the goalkeeper just going to the ball boys and getting the next ball to clear it away. He puts it back in the area. He hasn't got the greatest shot, but he puts it back on target. And then from there on in, you have to do something with it. You've heard me say, if you kick it in a car park, then cheers, thanks a lot. I'll just have a little rest, get a little drink in my net, and I'll kick it out and I'm ready, thanks. Get it on target, make them do something. And that's what he does in that moment when it wasn't the best angle for him. And he's just a smart footballer. I do think every time I want to fall in love with him, he has a quiet half. And you think, oh, no, not now. I'm just about convinced. Do you know what I mean? And he just disappears for a half. And honestly, if you watch back the City game last week, he had a 5-minute period, which wasn't great. Do you know, it wasn't great, you know? And then he had other 5-minute periods where you don't want to be anywhere else but on the pitch playing for us. You know, he's a unique player, interesting personality. He's found himself at Arsenal, and we are not where we want to be without him. But I don't know. I want to see what it looks like on paper, the numbers, and how he's influenced us. We are just not there without him.
Value for money, there's not been a better signing in the Premier League that I can think of. I mean, all right, fine, like Mohamed Salah or whatever. You get the point. But it just, in terms of finding something that can give you a lot, and I'm not saying I deserve all the credit. I think I deserve some credit because when the board went up for halftime, for stoppage time, I was typing, maybe this is a game where Jesus needs to replace Trossard, so we just have that little extra bit. And then, he scores, and then, of course, he scores, in quotes, the winner. So good for him. We do get the ugliest Kai goal in the history of humanity. I love that it was given. I love that VAR had to give it. 4-2 felt fair, to be honest. This game could have been 10-0. There are games where you get nearly 5 expected goals where you're going to score 9 or 10 goals. If you look at teams that have scored 8 or 9 goals, their XG is usually around this level. There was a brilliant save off a Calafiori header. Kai deserved a goal for that unbelievable spinning shot that he took that's incredibly well saved. So, you can talk about the ugliness of the goals we scored, and they were ugly, but we had beautiful ones. Nwaneri shot saved low, Gabriel header saved Kai whirl around shot saved. The Trossard's lunging stab that hits the post. What a beautiful play that was by Trossard. Would have been a sensational goal. So it is what it is. Clive, can I stay with you for a quick second? Do you have anything to say on the Sterling and Jesus cameo? Like Sterling, he's still getting up to speed. Jesus, like, if you asked me to show a clip that defines where Jesus currently is in terms of his level of sort of competence and execution, it'd be the clip of him sort of slowly ambling 4v2 and deciding to take a weak shot that Kai bundles in. I love you. Everybody knows I love Jesus. I think I picked him as breakout player again this season. I keep believing there's more in there. It keeps not being in there. Can you tell me it's still in there, please?
So on Jesus, I actually, on James, Sterling, for example, Sterling looks like the happiest player in the world. Because one thing I can see in the first half is all the subs warming up. And he warmed up for the entire half. He couldn't wait to get on. He really wants to play. He's waved at the fans, waved at his family. And I quite like what he brings to the group because he just knows how to play. He just knows how to play. He's just a man who knows how to play. And so I like him. Acceleration is still the same. Some of his end product stuff is 50-50 at the moment. He's getting fitter. He's not at the level yet. And that's coming from the manager saying that. but I quite like it when he puts on. Again, it comes back to what I said earlier. When I look at this team now of players, I almost like them all. Do you see what I mean? They look like real players. They can add real value. And on Jesus, I'm just looking at him as somebody who's rebuilding. And I'll be honest with you, Elliot, again, I didn't mind the shot because it was on target. And the keeper had to do something with it, And
it was across the keeper, right? That's why it comes back to us.
Exactly. I don't mind that. He
I
didn't.
didn't hate that.
Yeah, I just thought, I like that. I like smart people. I'm not in the best of shape. I'm running forward. I'm not in the best body position to get a good shot off. If I kick the case off the ball, you know where it goes? Call the flag. But if I slow down, control my shot, maybe something could happen into the far corner. So I like that. I really like that. Is he the player he was when he first came? Probably not. Am I the man I was 5 years ago? Probably not. But is he somebody that can affect our team, particularly off wide areas? I absolutely think he can do. I'm convinced about that. Convinced he can do that. My worry about this team, and I saw it in this game, Elliot, I'll be honest with you. I thought Kai, he's one of my most favourite players, as you guys know, but he's looking a little bit tired on occasions. And I would love to be able to put on a centre forward with a similar physicality to him. So we haven't got to run him into the ground offensively, run him into the ground defensively. He is like everything to us in that top end of the pitch with Odegaard not being there. And he's looking shattered. Yeah, and that's my little worry if you look about the squad. I like everything I see, but I just worry about that. That element of the squad that's missing and the burden we're placing on players like Havertz. And if we get to 4-0 in that game after an hour, Paul, I bet you'd be the first one to come off. Because I'm sure the club are aware that he's loaded up heavy with no pre-season. So that is my little worry that I do have.
Yeah. Well, let's finish with a quick one on PSG. We'll do a proper PSG preview for patrons, and we'll have an instant reaction for that, of course, as well. But because we've been going a while here, and there's still a lot of injury news to come out, and we're recording on a Sunday, it's a little hard to do a full one. But basically, Paul, this is one of those tricky spots where there are probably some players you'd rather not risk in this game just because of looking a little thin in a few positions. I mean, Timber and Calafiori may not be fit. It looks like it might be a minor thing. That's the hope. But based on the rumors floating around, there may be something, a calf, a hamstring, I don't know exactly, but that might be something they want to protect. Timber, you just can't keep giving 90 minutes to a guy who's just back from an ACL. Surely not, right? So there's that. But is White fit? Do we want to play Kivior at fullback against PSG? You can't take Champions League lightly, but at the same time, you have to be careful in certain positions. So how do you think about this game? Look, they've won 5, drawn 1. They have 20 goals for, 5 goals allowed. They're plus 15. Their XG's off the charts. Their XG allowed is low, but like that's PSG in Ligue 1, right? That's just kind of what you expect. They drew to Rem. They did beat Girona 1-0 in their first Champions League match, but it was kind of a battering on the underlings. That was at home. It's life after Kylian Mbappe, that guy. But they look pretty good. So quickly, like, is this just you go full strength? You don't worry about who's in the red zone. This is the Champions League, and this is how it works. What do you think?
Yeah, you go full strength. You don't worry too. Like, if you have a problem, like there's the red zone, and then there's a little bit of yellow amber. They're all going to want to play for this. I think the way you handle it is by being willing to use your subs early, so the players you're most concerned about have to play for 70 minutes, not 90 minutes. You're going to have the home support. You're going to have the energy. If we have a problem, like if, I don't know, you mentioned Calafiori, if there's something with them, that's one category. I hear what Clive said about Havertz. And I'm not sure anybody is implying he wouldn't be playing, but he's a good example, right? There will be players who are tired, and these guys at this stage, I don't know. Though we've so many players that are a bit Havertzy in terms of they run, they go, game in, game out. He'll go back, he'll plug in his charger, he'll get himself up to 90%, 99%, 100%. We go again. You rotate where you have the opportunities to get rotate. Jesus has been, his thing is he's been strong in Europe. So I think he's a real candidate for this one in particular. I'd love to see him get a game. I think whatever it is about European football, he comes alive. And the one place I diverge with you a little bit on Jesus is the last couple of games when he's come on. If I break his game into two parts, you're very worried about end product. You're a results guy.
I am.
I like the rest of his game. I think he's looked sparky and lively. The thing that most worries me about Jesus is the mental thing. Like, I think it's just kind of a trap for him because he's now not favorite or even second favorite at any of the positions he could be playing. And that's just a very hard mental state for a guy who came to be the man when that was his problem at City. He's getting even less traction here than he did at City, it seems. But in terms of that sparkiness you see contributing to the overall play, he seems to have that piece. He seems to be back at that level. What's not there and will take some time is it's almost like the Martinelli discussion. It's like if you do enough of that for a while, the goal will come, the assist will come, and you'll feel you're back into it. He's never really had a run of end producty stuff, but I think the play, the energy, the sparkiness, the fitness is there. And if you're Mikel and you want that guy to come to life, I think you start him in the PSG game from somewhere, probably centrally. Left wing is a candidate for him, but we got players who can play there. But I guess if you're using Trossard centrally quite a bit, might be a game. Well, I don't know how Trossard feels. I might be not wanting to not play Trossard because he might get pissy with me and throw a Moody as the coach. So I might play him.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see. I mean, everyone wants to play in the Champions League. The one player I would make sure to play is Martinelli because I'll tell you something. They've got Hakimi at right back. They've got Warren Zaire-Emery on the right side of their midfield. And they got Ousmane Dembele up the right wing. And if we have to play Kivior at left back, I mean, God help us. I mean, you're going to want Martinelli chasing back to help out. I think this is a game where you might want Declan Rice at 6, just a thought, which means, maybe you could go somewhere else, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that left-hand side for us defensively, that right-hand side for them attack-wise is where we're going to have to be very sharp. They look strong in terms of that lineup. They can bring Barcola off the bench, who's been on or Kolomuani. No, Barcola starts on the left. Kolomuani comes in off the bench. He's good. Asensio looks like he's going to start for them. I think they've got a lot of options. They carry a lot of threat. So do we. So do we. So, Clive, final thought on the PSG match?
Yeah, so they have a number of players that I'm sure I've sent them out on YouTube, right? So these are players that I've liked. Zaire-Emery is a brilliant midfielder. He seems to have played right back in the last game. I'm not sure why that was, but he's a brilliant young midfielder. William Pacho is a left-footed defender who I liked until Calafiori came into the world, and I suddenly just delete that tweet. Do you know what I mean? Because he's so good. João Neves, centre mid, loved him. Bouncy, punchy midfielder. Benfica wanted a lot of money. Liked him, would have loved him at Arsenal. Bradley Barcola, mate. Elliot, we got no one in our team that can run with him. He's like lightning. Like lightning, and a young player just breaking into the French team. He's got a lot of potential. Kolomuani, another player I liked for Arsenal when he was playing in Germany. Another leggy type of wing forward type, 6-footer, very long striding, not a great finisher. They've got a number of names which I really would have liked at our club. But they're young. And they're coming to our place. And I think we can take them on pure experience, on physicality, on size. I think we can take them. I really do. And I don't think they can keep us out from a stability point of view. But they've got a lot of bright talent. So let's not, I know you're not, this is Paris Saint-Germain, right? They're not short of a few quid, are they? They've got a lot of bright talent. So it's going to be a good, exciting game.
Yeah. My thoughts were more based like, if this is a game where we try to have the possession up the pitch, control the game, push them back, press them, you look at Barcola and Dembele running up the wings like lightning and their ability to turn us around. That's going to be different from what we've faced this season.
When they're running
mostly.
forward, but do they track back, mate? Will they be able to help their fullbacks
let's
or
hope
we
not.
run around there?
Let's
So
hope not.
yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and look, we got to draw in the first game away. You do want to win your home games in this new league format. This is the hardest game I think we have, right? Probably. So
Inter Milan away, I think, isn't it as well? I think that's
Inter away. That's harder. Yep. Okay, so that then this, but they're tough. I think we should leave it there. Paul, you had a final thought?
Just I think the toughest part is the fullbacks. Like, who's fit? Can you play Timber and Calafiori 2 games in a row? Like, Miles Lewis-Skelly has a really good shot at a start here. So I'll be interesting to see that.
Yeah, that's all I was saying, right? Is like, if we're down to 5th choice fullbacks against what they have on the edges, that would be a concern. And by the way, the fact that we have 5th choice fullbacks we can even pick at the Champions League level is a sign of how strong we are there. Like, everyone knows Kiwior is not a player I rate super highly. Find me a better 5th choice fullback. You know what I mean? So I accept that we are into the realm of making it work. All I'm saying is, don't risk what is becoming a beautiful season overplaying Calafiori into an injury or Timber off an ACL, to try to get a victory in the Champions League in the group stages. Or league stages. Anyway, look, what a wonderful, wonderful day it was. City dropped points. We get a win that should have felt, like I said, perfunctory, but winds up being a huge high. I hope everybody really soaked up the joy of it. And it tunes out anything that doesn't tell you what a phenomenal performance this really was. It is one of the most extraordinarily effective attacking performances we've had in years. So the data is there to back that up. And we've seen that we can batter teams, and we're going to have to batter some teams because we got weaker teams to come. So we're going to get out of here and watch Spurs and United have a slap fight and hopefully embarrass themselves. And then as you're listening to this, it would already have been done, and maybe we'll be doing some kind of schadenfreude for you over on Patreon. So we love you. Give us a vote for the FCAs if you don't mind. Paul's on Twitter, Pause My Pants. Thanks, Pause.
Woohoo!
Clive's on Twitter, Clive PFC. Thanks, Clive.
Thank you very much.
My name's Elliot Smith. You can bot me on Twitter, Gunner. We love you. And my goodness, we will certainly talk to you after Arsenal 10, PSG 0.